For the last 55 years that I've been alive, nothing has really changed. If you look at black people's lives and black people themselves, we are still at the bottom of every single ladder you can think of. When it comes to economics, we are the bottom. When it comes to disease, we are the most diseased. When it comes to poverty, we are the poorest. When it comes to incarceration, you'll find jails are full of black people. How comes for all these 55 years that I've been alive, I've heard people complain, I've seen people march, I've seen civil movements, but nothing changes. And the more things change, the more things remain the same. Now let us look at this through a different lens. I'm going to divide a black person's life into this pyramid into 4 different areas. Using this pyramid, I will divide it into 4 blocks. And I will start here with economics. I will bring here politics. I will bring here the judiciary. And I will bring here media. Now, how does this answer that question? Now, majority of us forget that true freedom does not come by us being accepted by other races. True freedom is not something that you're given. True freedom is not free. Now, we forget to build the base here. Economics is the foundation of true freedom. If you look at economics, it plays into every other area of our lives. How do we own our own economics? If you want to know that we don't own our own economics, it's 2 factors. Number 1 here is, who is the biggest and largest employer of black people? Who is the biggest and largest employer of Indians? Who is the biggest and largest employer of Chinese? Who is the biggest and largest employer of Jews? The answer to all these questions is the biggest and largest employer of Jewish people is Jews themselves. The biggest employer of Indians themselves. The biggest employer of Chinese is the Chinese themselves. The biggest employer of Arabs is the Arabs themselves. Now the question is, who is the biggest employer of blacks? Everybody else. Now, until you have the power to employ your own people, you cannot be in control of your finances. Meaning here that majority of us cannot be able to control economics because we're workers rather than being business owners. We're not entrepreneurs. We go to school with the sole intention of working very hard, get that degree, and walk around looking for somebody else to be able to employ us. Traditionally, if you look at Europe, it was built on the back of slaves. So they came onto Africa and they took black people, the strong black men that were taken over as cheap labor. Now that hasn't really changed now, because all we're doing now, we've exchanged the hot, sunny cotton fields with air-conditioned offices in Santon. You go to school, you get your degree, you get whatever certification that you want, and you come sell your skills at the same rate here. Economics is key. Economics becomes key now. If we're going to change our state, there are 2 things as we black men have to do. I know when I talk about men, it does not mean that I'm excluding women, but there are 2 main things that a black man that is 50 plus has to do. You have 2 purposes in your life. Number 1 here is, we have to become the biggest employers of black people. That is your goal in life, biggest employer of black people. Because without employment, people's financial state cannot change. Majority of our people are unemployed. The second thing here is, to be able to do this, we need to be able to create intergenerational wealth. Intergenerational wealth. There's a big difference when it comes to a white man's death, an Indian man's death, and a black man's death. When a white man and an Indian person or man dies, it is the biggest creation of a generation of wealth in their family because most of them have life insurance. When they die, accumulatively, the family will get 20, 30, 50 million rands, and it will shift. It will make the next generation to start at a better state. What is the difference between that and the black people? Black people, when a black man dies, the family disintegrates. In fact, everybody's life is going to be worse than it's ever been because you have one sole earner, irrespective of where they work. You can be the CEO of whatever Fortune 500 company you say, but the thing here is your family member cannot inherit your CEO position. It doesn't matter how much money you make. What is the definition of intergenerational wealth? There is two ways for you to be able to generate intergenerational wealth. Answer two questions. If your child now, after school, he qualifies to go to the university, are you in a position to pay their fees, or are you going to stick this 250,000, 300, whatever it costs on the child? They're going to start life in a negative because they already owe. Are you in a position to make sure that your child starts in life ahead without having student fees as debt? The second thing here is if your daughter or son wants to get married, like the Jewish people, the Indian people, the Muslim people, are you in a position to buy them their first house? Or are you in a position to put down 20% deposit so that the kids have an earlier start? That becomes the easiest way for you to be able to measure what intergenerational wealth is. Economics runs everything. Whoever runs the economy runs everything in that country. Economics it moves us into politics because politics is simply distribution of resources of the country. Now, whoever has the economic muscle here either will sponsor the politician here or he will lease the politician that is in fashion. Depending on that, so your economics has a higher correlation with the number of people in jail. You cannot run the economy if you do not run businesses. You cannot run the economy if you don't have factories. You cannot run the economy if you don't have manufacturing facilities. You cannot run the economy by driving the latest Mercedes, driving the latest BMW, driving the latest Range Rover Sport. You do not own the economy through consumption. You can only own the economy through production. The more fancy cars you drive, the more fancy outfits that you have, whoever produces them owns you because that is the richest person. Now, these people that own the economy here, if they're not allowed legally to run for office in terms of politics, they will lease whoever is in politics. And in South Africa, we have the good case of when we talk about the Guptas. We have a case where people talk about the Ruperts. They don't have to be in politics, but they will have to sponsor whoever is here. So you can march as much as you want. You can go out there and you can toy. You can burn buildings. But until you build the economic muscle to make sure that whoever is in politics works for you, because this politician has to answer to someone. If you look at the South African last political election, you have some parties that were formed 100 days before the election, and they were able to do very well on election day. That means that they had to invest a lot of money. They had access to a lot of resources. Whoever gave them access to those resources, whoever sponsored them, whoever paid for all the campaigns, whoever paid for all the helicopters, whoever paid for all the food, whoever paid for all the merchandise is who the politician has allegiance to, not you. So coming here, the politician here, whoever has money determines who goes to jail. Because if you own factories, you're not going to allow your own people to go to jail. Now, you will look at the whole world. Any place where you have black people, irrespective of it being their country of origin or it being a place where they just reside, irrespective of the size of the population, And a good example is a place like America, where you find in the States, the black population is only 50% of the national population, but they make up 85 to 90% of the population in jail. And that tells you, because the people in economics need access to cheap labor. And because black people, we've neglected, or we do not understand how economic works, whoever is here sponsors these people. You'll always find every other politician will always be fighting for the black vote. My question is, why are you voting for somebody else? Why can't you vote for your own? Because we do not vote as a bloc. We do not vote as one. We don't have one person, neither do we have one agenda. We don't have one principle. We do not have one unifying thing that will make us say we're going to vote using our money, or we're going to vote using the casting vote, or we're going to vote using our numbers. Because we don't have that unity, whoever is here, based on what they want, what the agenda is, they sponsor this politician that will be answerable to them. Now, politics automatically leads to judiciary. This is where the police and the judges come in. Politicians, the executive has the power to appoint whoever goes into the Supreme Court. Politicians are answerable to the money men. Politicians are answerable to the people that lead the economics. Now, whoever is here, remember, irrespective of how independent it looks, whoever gave you a job is whoever feeds you. And whoever feeds you is either your husband or either your daddy. And this, they take the money here, they invest it in politics. Politicians appoint people here that are going to be sympathetic to the ideas and the principles of the people that run the economy. Then they take the excess money here and dump it into media. Now, media is how you communicate with your people. Now, because the people in economics, they run the media. Media is how you take your message out. And because we don't own this, anything that is depicted in media will always be negative about black people. It will always be about how bad we are. It will always show the side of us. And that influences the whole cycle. So we have to understand that if we're going to change, if we want a better life for us going forward, we have two things to live for as black men that are 50 plus. Number one, whatever it is that you do, we have to start learning how to start businesses and become the biggest employer of black people, because that's the only way we're going to raise the standard of living of our people. The second thing here is we need to understand how economic works. If we're going to create wealth, one of us has to sacrifice. You might not be from a rich family, but let a rich family come from you. Let that be your goal, that every single thing that you do, you're going to sacrifice yourself, that whoever comes after you, you have paid your intergenerational wealth. You have paid your intergenerational debt. Because until we understand that money makes the world go round, not love. Because whoever has money will determine who the judge is. Laws don't protect you. The laws are as strong as the enforcer. And if this person here makes the laws and then decides that the laws do not suit him, he's not going to enforce it because the judiciary and police works for him. So let's change our thinking and remember, we have to build the economics. And if you look at how we live in Africa, black people, we have everything, but we don't have each other at all. When a black man looks at another black man, he feels like he just wants to kill him. And until we learn, people can only be united with one purpose. You cannot be united with a common interest, because you've seen it in politics. We get united because we want to throw one head of state out. Then when he goes, we go back to mudslinging and killing each other. Economics, money. Where there's money, there's love. Without money, there'll be hatred. Hope to catch you soon. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, do the right thing, subscribe, like and share among your friends, and catch you next time.